Lecture 22, Vygotsky's Cognitive Mediation Theory.
Hello. In this lecture, we'll discuss the sixth and last of our major theories of human development, Lev Vygotsky's Cognitive Mediation Theory. We'll discuss his history and how it provided the context for his theory, just as each theorist's history has influenced each theory. And we'll then describe his idea of the incorporation of psychological tools from others and the basic premise that what is intermental becomes intramental, one of his quotes. We'll get back to that. Now, one of the criticisms of Piaget's theory that we noted in the last lecture was that he took virtually no account of the influence of society and social interactions in explaining processes of development. Now, Piaget did try to explain how we think about others, how we learn to deal with others, but he didn't really talk about how others influence us. In contrast, Vygotsky's cognitive mediation theory focuses primarily on how social interactions influence cognitive development. Although all of Vygotsky's work was completed before social learning theory ever came along, and also before there was a cognitive revolution, his theory currently influences developmental researchers and educators in a great way and seems to fit in with a lot of ways that we're thinking about development today. To understand why we had this sleeper effect, if you will, in the influence of his theory, we have to understand Vygotsky's history. Lev S. Vygotsky was born in 1896, interestingly, the same year that Piaget was born. He was born near Minsk, Russia, and died in Russia in 1934, at the relatively young age of 37 years. He had tuberculosis, and he'd been quite sick for a good share of his life. Vygotsky was born into a middle-class Jewish family, and like Piaget, he was quite precocious as a young child. He was quite intellectual. In particular, he read a lot of Western philosophy. In fact, he read some of the early work of Piaget. But because of the discrimination against Jews in Russia at that time, he had some problems getting into the education system. He was very much worried because they had a quota system limiting the number of Jewish college students. But Vygotsky, though he thought he couldn't attend college, was lucky and won a lottery and was able to attend Moscow University. He graduated in 1917. Again, it's quite interesting, it was the same year that Piaget received his PhD. And Vygotsky thought that, from this background, he thought that the Bolshevik Revolution would put an end to discrimination against Jews and other minority groups in Russia. He fully welcomed it. And he had been strongly influenced by Hegel's and Marx's philosophies. These philosophies stressed the importance of society and the value of work in helping humans rise to something better. And he believed that this Marxist view, which included a view that technology